like to welcome an iconic Laguna Beach cast member to Millennial TV. Thank you to Jessica Evans, or Smith as we know her, for joining us today. And we are so excited to ask you some of our questions. So let's jump into it. We love to start off at the beginning. So how did you get cast on the show?
So MTV came to our school for season 1, obviously, and that's when all the people did packets and interviews and all of those things. And I just kind of was filming with Kristen and Dieter, who was friends with Steven. And so I had begged my mom to please sign a release because they were trying to film it where it looked more like a One Tree Hill or like the OC, not like a real world situation where your face is blurred out and stuff. And so they wanted everyone to have a release sign just so you didn't have to have a blurred out face. So I told my mom, I was like, this is not my jam. I mean, even after the show was over, like I had a bunch of kids and got married. Like this just was never my like calling in life, you know? And so I was like, it's fine. I just need to be able to go to parties with my friends, you know? And so then it kind of exploded and the drama followed. And so season 2 came and we didn't even know we were cast as full-time cast members in season 2. You just got called back or they asked you to come to a photo shoot. And if you got called back the second day, then you knew you were like a main character. So yeah.
How amazing. You didn't have to audition.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I know. No, I'm just that dramatic.
Yeah.
So, but it was different than season 1. Season 1 was much more in depth and all that jazz. But yeah.
We know you skipped a grade. That's been mentioned like a couple times. So we wanted to
Yes.
ask you, when did you skip a grade and how was it hanging out with older people? Because like that's a big deal in school, I feel like,
Yeah.
at that age.
Yeah, I mean, I'm basically everyone's same age. So I was living in Arizona and my parents got divorced. And so when we moved to California, I was in all accelerated classes in Arizona. And the cutoff there was September 1st and my birthday is September 15th. But the cutoff in California, I think was October 15th or something. So she's like, she's already in all these advanced classes. Can she just come? And they're like, okay. So
Yeah.
I skipped half of 6th and half of 7th because we moved in the middle of my 6th grade year, I guess. And so I'm younger than everyone, but not by like 2 years or anything like that.
Like half a year, basically. Or what
Right,
is it?
right.
Yeah.
Right. Like I think Kristen's like in January and then I'm in September, you know, so not too much, but
Still at the time though, different
yeah.
grades
Oh
are
yeah.
such a big deal.
Yeah.
Well, now that I have kids, like people redshirt I mean, we're in Texas, so people redshirt their kids for sports all the time. And I didn't realize that was something you did because that was not what we ever did. And so my son, who misses the cutoff by 2 days, is in 7th grade, but he's the same. He's actually one of the younger ones, but really probably should be in 8th grade. You know, it's just so weird. So weird. So anyway.
So complicated.
Yeah.
Why did you and Dieter break up and how long were you guys together for?
I think, oh my gosh, this is terrible. I think like a year and a half, maybe.
That's a long
significant
time.
amount
Yeah,
of
for high
time
school, that's a long
that
time.
And,
Yeah.
you know, I think he just went to college and we were like, I was good. You know,
Yeah.
he's very nice,
Yeah.
you know, has a really pretty wife and kids and all that jazz. So, but yeah, you know, you're in high school.
Yeah, I was like heartbroken when I started season 2 and you and Dieter weren't together anymore. I was like, they're so cute together. I was like, no.
I really don't even remember. Isn't that terrible?
Yeah.
But like, you know, I think you're just young and
Yeah.
and going through it.
Yeah. How did it feel to kind of be the main source of drama for most of season 2?
That's a good question. I don't think I realized it at the time until that's what like the one benefit of being on this show was. It's like you could look back and be like, oh, that is not a great quality. I didn't even know I did that. We should probably try to adjust, you know? So I don't think I really realized I was. I thought it was still like primarily focused on Kristen and Steven and Lauren, you know? And so after the fact, I'd be like, oh, cringe, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, now, well, actually, it was fine for a little bit. And now my kids are to the age where they're like, my friends watched it and mom. I'm like, oh gosh, please.
Oh,
this
no.
is really awkward, you know? So no, that's like terrible. But, so I'm like, please don't. I told them all, I'm like, we can watch it when you're the age I was when I was on it so I can explain things to you better.
Yeah.
But, I don't, after the fact, I would like call my grandma and be like, it's all fake. Don't worry. So it made me, I'm not like super confrontational, clearly. And so didn't love being in the center of all the drama,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
That's so crazy that like while you were filming it, you didn't think that that would be such a big part of the show, and then you go to
no.
watch it like a year later or whatever. You're like, there I am. I am
Yep.
the
There
main
it
Yeah.
is.
part of
Great.
season
Yeah.
two.
Yep. So I'd watch when they send us the VHS tapes and then I'd never watch again. I was like, no, thank you. This is so uncomfortable for me. I still haven't watched it again since then.
Oh,
So
really?
nope, not at all.
Wow.
Not at all. So we did like a podcast with Kristen and Steven
Mhm.
a while ago, and they were like, watch this episode, and then we can talk about it. And so I watched the single episode and that was it. So no, thank you.
So you kind of talked about this already, but I guess so you were surprised to be part of the love triangle in season two because after watching Lauren, Kristen, and Steven go through it in season one, you were now part of it. How was that? And were you surprised when Jason started dating Lauren like towards the end of the year or end of the season?
I think we all were surprised. We were like, what is happening here? But I mean, I think what's so weird is that people don't realize that it really wasn't that long. It was such a
Mhm.
short little amount of time. And so I think they made us look to be so much more disappointed and heartbroken and all of these things that really was like just such a short little blip of a relationship, And so no, not really. I wasn't that surprised. I was more surprised that it was Lauren and she was off at college and you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
other than that, like, no, not really.
So how long did you and Jason actually date for? And since there was like a brief period where you were broken up but still kind of hooking up, were you ever like back together after that, or was it just breakup?
I don't think so. I did.
Mhm.
It sounds like such a cop out, but I really have the worst memory of like all time. And so I, I think it was only like 3 months at the most.
Mhm.
I don't think it was that long.
But that's still a long time for high school.
It is, and I think it seemed longer because it kept getting dragged out and
Right.
talked about, and things that you wouldn't normally know about. They would be like, "Oh, did you hear?" Like a producer would come in, "Oh, did you hear?" Blah blah blah. They'd be like, "Okay, roll it," and then so they'd get your genuine reaction about something that you probably either would have never heard about or wouldn't really have cared about. But you're like, "Wait, what?" This is
Mhm.
coming from this person who doesn't even know us. So I think that made everything drag on longer and seem longer. But I mean, they filmed from graduation for the most part, a little bit before to after to when we all went to college, and so I don't think it's like not that long of a filming period, and so but they are able to drag that on and make it seem like this is a very long relationship and
Mhm.
all the heartbreak and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
It was so intense from what we saw.
Yeah.
They had
It
such a
was.
I
good
mean
way
it
of
was
making it look that way.
fast and furious,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you guys were we talk about this on our podcast a lot, but you guys were so like adult in your relationships. Like you were very like you called each other honey, you were going on these dinner dates
Yeah.
and sweetheart, and you would
That's
make
so
dinner
funny.
for each other, and like we were all like, is that what we're supposed to be doing?
I guess I didn't really even think about that, but you're right. It was
Yeah.
very, yeah. I think the dinner stuff was more MTV putting that on, like, oh, you
Yeah.
guys should cook. Clearly,
Yeah.
we didn't know how. So why
Yeah.
are we? This is a great idea. I think
Yeah.
that was more them putting it on than us, But as far as like, yeah, the way we talk to each other and stuff, I guess you're kind of right.
Yeah.
But that was another thing, too. A lot of these, like a lot of my friends were the youngest child of older siblings and I was the oldest, and
Mm.
so that was a little bit different for me too. Like they were, I think, exposed to probably more and knew more than I did at the time.
Mm.
Yeah.
So speaking of that dinner in season one, with the feet pasta, um, and you guys kind of having that grocery shopping experience and having it filmed
Yes.
for television. Like how was that? Like because I know like me and my friends used to quote that at each other all the time. The like half a pound, have a pound.
Yes. The amount of messages I get on Instagram about that, I'm like, I know. Even my mom still is like, do you know what lettuce is versus cabbage now? Like, please tell me. I'm like, they look the same in my defense.
They do look
okay?
the same. They do.
And
They
we
It
do.
was a
agreed at
Yeah.
that age
redesign.
we wouldn't have
Yeah.
known either. So
Mm-mm.
And those were like the fun things that weren't totally scripted or like, calculated or whatever. That was like, oh my gosh, we're so dumb, but it was so funny and innocent,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I can cook now, I've got
Yeah.
4 kids. I kind of have to, so we're good.
I said that on our recap. I'm like, I'm sure she has kids and she has to keep them alive. So I'm sure she
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
knows how
We're
to
good.
cook now.
We're doing good. So,
On the show, you and Jason break up over the phone. Like he calls you on the phone and breaks up with you. Do you remember if that was actually over the phone or did you break up in person?
I don't remember the actual breakup, but that was not him. That was a producer, Jessica Reynolds, on the
Oh.
other
Mm.
line. And so, was that the one where I pick up my cat and I'm like
Mhm.
forlorn looking? Because I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure they
yeah,
told me not to do
Yes.
that. Yeah. So yeah. Nope. That was just a female producer on the phone being like, "Hey."
That's crazy.
I know because you
She like
seem so
literally,
genuine on the
Uh-huh.
phone, like
and I was like, "Wow,
talking to
I'm a great
him.
actress."
I know.
Yeah.
But no, that was her. I can't remember if it was long enough that I didn't care or I was still like frustrated. And so I was able to be like, "Wow," she's like, "Just say what to me, whatever you want." I'm like, okay. So
Those
yeah.
producers, man, they have you in a few times in your closet or in your patio in your bathroom, just
Yeah,
like
Mhm.
looking depressed and
Yes,
alone,
yeah.
and
they
yeah.
do. Yeah. They're good at what they do too. Cause you're like, now as an adult, I'm like, why would I do that? Like, why am I doing what they want me to do as far as
Mhm.
that's concerned?
Yeah.
But like when you're young, you don't know. And you're like, they're like, we'll get somebody else to come on in and do it. So,
Yeah.
and so that's
Yeah.
kind of it was a tricky, weird time to be like, well, these are my boundaries. You don't have any boundaries when you're 15. You're like, okay,
Mhm.
sure, you think I should do this, let's do it. So
It's also
it was
MTV.
very weird.
It's like the coolest network
Right.
at the time. So you're like, I'll do
Right. Oh yeah.
anything you want me to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this was when I think like Jessica Simpson and Nick Lachey were on and stuff, and
Mhm.
so we were like,
Mhm.
oh, we're on like right after them. Like everyone
Yeah.
was all excited. So no one knew what they were, and it was the first of its kind. Like now Real Housewives and stuff, like I was just watching Vanderpump Rules, and it's like hard to watch because you can tell how manufactured it was.
Hmm.
And while ours was to some extent, it was not the same like it is now. We didn't
Right.
know what we were doing. We didn't know how they were going to edit things. We didn't know what to expect. So there was a certain genuineness to it all that I don't think is there anymore.
Yeah.
We're kind of at the point of the season where you are into Jeff, pivoting to another
Oh,
guy. Did you ever actually date Jeff in your senior year?
no, I did not. No, he was just like good friends with our friend group, and so I just thought he was cute.
We
So
do see him sort of throughout the season. So
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, he was around. So
I thought you guys were so cute. I was so sad you didn't actually ever date.
no, no.
like we said, Candace was team like Jessica. So anything you wanted to do on the show, she was like, I wish that they actually got together. I hope that
Yeah,
she
Mhm.
like
got
I
everything
Yeah.
she
Thanks.
wanted.
Thank
I know. I'm
you.
literally always on your team when we do the recaps and stuff, and
Well, thank you. I
they'll
don't feel
battle
like
me on it. And
I know like some people like you love to like hate the villain, but it's as adults now it's easy to be like, you're so dumb. What were you thinking?
Mhm.
So
yeah,
I appreciate that.
yeah,
And we all watch with the lens of knowing like that was high school, So
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's totally different. I know. Well, especially now I'm like, God, like if someone messages me or anything, I'm like, would I want my daughter to like act that way? Like, of course not. You know what I mean? Would I
Yeah.
want her to like be on the flip side either? Not really. I'd rather her just not be in those positions at all.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
but it's all learning, I guess.
Were you, Alex and Kristen, as close as it seemed in real life as you were on the show?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
were. We were for sure. We were together all the time, pretty much.
Yeah.
So yeah, we definitely were. Like when we were saying bye at graduation and all crying and stuff like that was
Mhm.
all very, very genuine. And same with like Alex and Taylor and them, like they were all very, very close. So
Yeah.
that it did come from genuine friendships and genuine relationships. So
Mhm.
Yeah. So we know that you had a few friend groups. One of them was like Courtney and Emily, and the other was Kristen and
hmm
Alex. And so were those girls in different grades? And like, how did you navigate that?
nope, we were all in the same grade.
Okay.
I think that we just I was just talking to someone about this. Like, I liked to sleep. I didn't like to go out like that much and stuff. So there was kind of like groups that like to go out a lot, groups that
You
kind of were
are
like,
just like me.
I'm like, really? I was like, just talking to a friend. She's like, well, they showed you partying. I'm like, no, they showed like the 2 times I went out because I was in bed by like 9 every night. I'm still like that. My husband's like, it's 7:30. You're getting ready, So, like Courtney was the oldest too, and so was Emily. So I think our parents were a little bit strict as well. I mean, I can't speak for other people's parents. I just know that like we all were friends. It's such a small school. I think our graduating class was like 240 people, maybe at the most. And so all of us were very good friends. I think that I like navigated towards Courtney and Emily for certain stuff. And then, of course, I was filming with other people and we were friends too. I don't know. Even now, I have like certain friend groups from my 6th grader or my 3rd grader,
For sure.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I'm trying to say that in a nice way because I feel like that sounds rude. I don't mean that to sound
No,
rude.
no,
No,
not
Like,
at
it
all.
makes sense.
I don't
Yeah.
know. And it was like, again, it was so long ago, but like Emily and I were like best friends, spent the night at each other's houses. Like her parents, I'd call them half the time if I wasn't talking to her, like we were
Mhm.
just, there was like that super, super closeness. I think that was just a little bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because you'll have like different groups of friends and they don't, not to say that they don't mesh, but like it's not the same when you guys all come together. Like it just feels
Hmm.
different. So it's like you have
Yep.
different pockets of friends that you go to for
Right.
different things, like
Hmm.
different
Yeah.
interests.
Exactly. Or like I have a good friend or they live 2 doors down from us, and the husband, he's like, I don't mix friends. Like this is this group from my like college days. This is this group from here. Like I don't mix. Like we
Yeah.
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 just, I'm like, that's fine. I mean, I understand that's fair.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
We see you come back in season 3, and honestly it was so nice when you showed up on screen with Alex, just because it was a familiar face for all of us,
Yeah.
in the midst of a totally different cast. What do you remember about filming season 3?
I mean, not a lot. That was a chaotic time in my life. I don't feel like that was a great look. But I would stay back and went to community college, and we were doing all these personal appearances and stuff. And so I took like a year off and did that instead. And so I was still like living at home and all that kind of commuting, and then you know, going and traveling the country, going to remember back in the day, like that was such a big deal. Like you went to
Mhm.
bars and did photo,
Mm-hmm.
can't even remember what they're called, but the personal appearances. And so I was doing that more. And so they had asked me like, hey, will you come and just do a couple things here and there? Again, why I said yes, I don't know, but there I was. So I do not remember hardly anything from that. Cause I feel like
Mm.
I didn't want to be on it, but I agreed to do it. So I tried to kind of just disassociate as much as I could. So
During that season, you were like sort of dating Cameron. So was that real or not?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Okay.
nice. I mean, yeah, it wasn't real. Like they wanted that drama of it. Like,
Right.
oh, and he's seeing. It was not like that at all. It was
Okay.
just fun.
They like wanted to recreate that so badly,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
So
but I
bad.
definitely felt the like, ooh, I don't want to be on the show anymore, like from you.
Hmm.
Right.
So
Well, and I'm like, I'm not trying to fight with like a senior girl or junior girl or
Yeah.
whatever. I don't
Yeah.
even remember what grade they were in. Like, no, that's not what I was here for. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm good. So, I feel like I sound so rude. I'm not trying to sound
No.
rude.
No, not
No,
at
no,
Like, I feel
all.
like
not at
I need to
all.
No.
redeem myself a little
Yeah.
bit. Like, I'm not, I swear.
And this is your space to tell us how you really feel, to tell us
Yeah, yeah.
your
I'm
true
like,
story.
well,
This
and
is-
truly, like, I really don't remember a lot. Like I said, too, like, it was such a chaotic, weird time. Like, we just
Mhm.
were. I wish I remembered more, honestly. I literally just talked to my mom about that, too. Like, we did so many fun trips and, like, out of the country and did all these things. And I'm like, I don't remember half of it. Like, and I wish I did, because
Mhm.
I wish I would have like taken more opportunity as far as that was concerned, just for the fun
Mm.
of it,
Yeah.
rather than the just all the bad stuff pouring in. Like when
Yeah.
I went to college and like I'd get this was right when Facebook was big, and we'd get messages and that were just mean, and so I was so in my own head for that I was too scared to be like, I'm gonna capitalize on this thing. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
nope, I'm just gonna.
Mhm.
And so I feel like that was, I should have like gotten out there a little bit more, but
Yeah. It's also like high school. Like even I'm starting to get to the point like I thought I would never forget like my high school memories or like things that happened in high school, and now I'm like,
yeah.
when did that happen? Did that really like people
Mhm.
say stuff that happened and I'm like, when I don't remember
Oh, I
this.
know.
So I
I
don't
know.
blame you guys, even if it was on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like I'll talk to Courtney and she's like, remember so and so? I'm like, I really don't. I
Yeah.
feel bad. Like I just don't. Like I don't know why, So
Yeah. I have
we're
pictures
there.
with people that I'm like, I don't even know who that is.
Right.
Mhm.
You're like, why do I know you? I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
So after the show was over, what did you end up doing?
So I did go to community college and did all that. And then I went to a 4-year school and was getting my degree in teaching and waitressing, putting myself through school. And that's where I met my husband. And then we got like fast and furious, got married super quick, and then had our first kid like 11 months after we got married. And so I ended up not finishing school and having 4 kids in 6 years, and I'm just doing that. So, yeah.
Whoa.
Awesome.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's a lot,
Yeah.
yeah.
that's a lot. But you
It's
seem
yeah.
like from Instagram and everything, you handle it so well.
Oh, you're so sweet. I try. I'm
Your
not
kids are
don't ask
so
them. They'll tell you a different story.
your kids are like so put together. You're always put
Oh,
together. It's like I'm like, oh my gosh,
that is
she's
a highlight reel
yeah.
of life. Remember
Yeah.
that because but I mean, they're good kids. They really are. And so and I love it. Like it's always what I wanted to do, And
Mhm.
so that helps. And my husband's super supportive, and he travels for work, but when he doesn't, he's works from home, and so it's that's helpful, and it's like what I always wanted. So it's when we went to a wedding and they're like, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "I am a mom Uber and just
Yeah.
deal with that." I'm like, half the time someone's sick, rotating sickness, like someone's
Mhm.
got to be home with them. So we love it. It's fun. So
That's
we have a
awesome.
good time.
Your kids
Yeah.
also look just like you, and it's like
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
cute.
That's so funny. Yeah, my little one especially. My husband's always like, "It's like looking at your face." I'm like, "Oh,"
Yeah.
and so she'll like throw an attitude. I'm like, "Oh no, that was totally me." So, it's so funny.
Are there any misconceptions about you from the show that you'd like to clear up?
I don't think so, if I'm being totally honest. I mean, I know people like to get out there and be like, I wasn't like that, or that was edited, or this was this. I'm like, no, I was super annoying. And I was like, it was very nice to be able to watch back and be like, oh, that's not, like I said before, like, that's not cute. Let's not do that anymore. Or, I didn't know at the time. I just was like insecure and
God, I appreciate that so much because again, I related to you so much. And as we're watching the show, we'll be like, oh my God, that was so annoying. And I'm like, but I was like that. Like, I
yeah.
understand.
Yeah. And it's
Like,
easy to watch back and be like, that's so annoying when you have a edited picture of it, right? But
yeah,
like when you're in it and you
Mhm.
don't hear what someone else is telling you behind closed doors and you don't know
right.
what's really going
Yeah.
on. And even if you didn't, like people have their feelings, and not all of us were like some people are really able to like stand up for themselves, and I was just never kind of that person. I'm better at it now, but I had a hard time doing that when I was younger. And so it was nice to look at that and be like, oh no, that's okay to say, like, that's not right. Or even just pretend you're fine for a minute. But
Mhm.
I was like, wore my heart on my sleeve, like nobody's business. So, and I still do, but I can control it. I mean, hopefully, I would hope so. At this point, I'm almost better side of 40 at this point, so, or closer to 40 than I am to 30 now. So,
No, but we love it because
but
like you said, if you were on Vanderpump today filming, you would have like a cool girl image or like a way you want to portray yourself in these
right.
situations, but like the way you were in high school on Laguna Beach was just so like real. Like that's how you
Mhm.
actually would have acted, not on a
Yeah.
TV show.
I feel like people were nicer to me then because they were closer to my age then and could understand than like some of the messages I get now where I'm
Really?
like, dang, like,
Wow.
yes, like you were so dumb. Now that it was on Netflix, I'll get like you were
Oh,
so dumb. I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, I was. I mean, I don't know
Oh
what to
my
tell you.
god. Years
I was
later, people
15.
still
Wow.
Like,
message you stuff like that?
Wow.
yes. I normally ignore it and I'll like tell my husband, I'm like, okay, I can't hold it in. I'm
Yeah.
having a big glass of wine. I'm like, I can't hold it in. I'm gonna like and he's like, just ignore them. I'm like, I know, but sometimes you're like, you're telling me this like from behind your keyboard, like you're the
Yeah.
one coming to a
Mhm.
stranger. Like,
Yeah.
what does that say about you?
Has
But
your husband seen the show?
no, he's seen clips here and there. Or like his friends love to send him like the Mad TV skits and
Yeah.
stuff like
We
that. They think are funny. And so, or back in the beginning, now it's kind of it went real dormant for a while, and then now with the Netflix stuff,
Yeah.
we'll like joke about it and stuff. But I don't think he has any interest in seeing that,
Yeah.
and that was never what he was into anyways. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
reality TV wasn't his thing. And then now I'm like, well, do we want to watch it? He's like, not really. You know, I'm like, I won't watch it with you, but I promise my kids eventually I'll watch it with them. So I'm like trying to gear up for that day. But
We were wondering if you'd ever seen the Mad TV sketch and what you thought about it.
oh yeah,
Mhm.
I thought it was hilarious, honestly. Like, I mean, hindsight's 2020. Like in the moment, I was like, "This is so embarrassing," but now that I'm older and an adult, I'm like, "Yeah, that is pretty funny." And
Yeah.
I acted kind of dumb here and there. You know, that's okay. So.
Well, it's funny because it's like that Jessica is so iconic. And even when I was telling like friends of mine that we were interviewing you, they were like, "Oh, Jessica." Like
I know.
And I'm like, "Yeah,
And
that
I'm like,
Jessica."
hey, I didn't name myself and I didn't talk like that. So
Yeah.
that's not my fault. But there's like a reel going on Instagram right now where it's like a chicken that's like Jessica or whatever. And my sister sends it to me all the time. I'm like, okay, so funny. I'm sure it's like what Steven gets all the time. Steven. Or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yep.
Kristen and her iconic voice.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know. I love it. Gave us some good stuff.
Yeah.
So we have this little fun segment here where we have burning fan questions, some from us, but also some from questions we've scoured on the internet. So feel free to pass on answering some of these questions if you don't want to answer them. Totally cool. But we feel like we have to ask you, being fans of the show. So you were portrayed as the catalyst to the Jason and Lauren split. How did you deal with that being on television?
That's a good question. I don't think I thought about it much. Oh, is that terrible?
No.
That makes me sound awful. I just think that like at the time, I'm like, I don't know. I don't remember. Isn't that awful? And it was very clear that we were not of our sound minds
Right.
during the thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I felt like, I mean, most of the bad things that happened were because of that, you know? And so I don't know. I really don't. I think when it finally aired, I think I tried to just like ignore it and black it out.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Mhm.
I really don't. Because I think I always got more questions about like the Alex stuff than ever even that.
Yeah. That's
You know
interesting.
what I mean? So I really don't. That's not burned in my head much.
Because I
Yeah.
feel like
Isn't that
the Alex
terrible?
thing was such a big part of the season, and then Jason and Lauren were just like
We're like
snuck into the end. It was like
at the-
Well, and I
so
think that people
shocking.
were like shocked by it, and so I think once the Hills came and then they were on that for a long time, that's when people were more like, "Oh, you blah blah blah." But I'm like, well, they ended up together for a very long time, so clear it was fine, you know.
Yeah.
But at that blip, I really don't remember. Oh, that's awful.
Well, also talking about how intoxic, like, drunk you guys were in some of these scenes. It's like young us actually never saw that on TV. Like we couldn't
Right.
tell. But now
Yeah.
rewatching it, we're like,
Oh my God,
there it
they're
is.
wasted. Yeah. Yeah.
Now we know.
Yeah.
I know.
As
Isn't that
a
awful?
teenager watching it though, I
I
don't
was
even
like,
know
they're so
what,
fun.
like,
They're
yeah.
so cool.
Yeah, you guys are just so open
Yeah.
and great.
Yeah, like I was like, they're just having a really, really good time. Like I don't
And what's so sad is like MTV couldn't like supply it, obviously, but like they were the first ones there, like with like, here's your red cups, like
Yeah.
enjoy, you know.
Yeah.
So which was pretty sad, but
I had figured that they were very happy to have you guys partaking.
oh, I'm sure. Yes. Yes. Very much so.
I
That's
know,
like why
yeah, like on the Real World
like Real
and
World,
stuff.
they'd have like a stocked bar because you get like your best stuff then, you know?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So sad.
For the bonfire after you and Jason broke up, did MTV make you go to that?
I don't know. Honestly, I feel like yes, but I also feel like my friends were there and they were like, just go. You know,
Yeah.
like just there was some parts of me like I'm slightly petty. And so like there's parts of me that are like, I'm not gonna not go because you're there. Like
Right.
no. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so but that I remember that. That is one thing I do remember because I was like, oh, that one made me have diarrhea. So, I was like, oh no, you know. But I mean, it was fine. So I
Yeah.
don't think that they made me for
Mhm.
that. I can't. I mean, they couldn't make us do anything. They didn't pay
Right.
us anything.
Yeah.
So, but I'm like, you want me to go? Give me some money.
Yeah. Dude, I would have been playing that up so hard. I've been like, you want me there? Buy me a trip to freaking the Bahamas.
Exactly. Well, that's what they got smart and did that now, like all the reality stars and stuff. But.
Did you get them to pay for your trip to Cabo?
No, my dad took us on that, or took me at least. Yeah.
Oh,
So no,
that's
I don't
nice.
think that they did. I'm sure that they probably did for like maybe Kristen or something. But
yeah.
not for me.
So you might not remember this, and you might not want to answer it, but we see Alex M get a phone call during a dinner about you and Jason in a closet together at a party. Cammie calls her and tells her. Now, was that MTV? Was that real?
I don't know if that phone call was real. That's all I'll say.
I will take that. I will take it.
I don't know if the timeline lined up.
Okay. It's one of those moments.
I have children.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's okay. They won't listen to this podcast.
Yeah. It'll be fine.
So when Kristen and Jeff kissed at that fiesta party, did you see it happen? And then how did you feel when you found out about that? Since you were like gonna sort of date him or wanted to.
I feel like I did see it happen because I felt they made that seem like it was such a bigger deal than it was. You know what I mean? Like, again, we were all enjoying libations and having a fun time. And so, and I feel like I saw it and was like, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just dancing around, having my own. I think is the one thing that is slightly misconstrued is I looked like such a boy crazy, like pick me girl. And I was doing my own thing outside of MTV's stuff. You know what I mean? And so I feel like people thought I was this heartbroken, longing chick for so long when I think that's why I don't remember some of it. Cause I'm like, that wasn't as big of a deal to me as like they wanted it to appear on TV, if that makes sense.
Right.
Of course
Yeah,
I
that
was
makes
like,
sense.
I definitely had feelings and what you saw was my feelings for sure. I'm not saying that, but I'm like some certain things like that, like Kristen and him doing that. Like I was like, okay, have fun, you know? And even like she talked to me about that when we were doing her podcast and she was like, can we clear the air? Cause I feel like that's the one thing I would redo. I'm like, I haven't even thought about it since then, you know? So it's not a big deal, you know?
Yeah.
She was very like remorseful on her podcast about like that scene specifically. She felt so bad about that.
Yes, she really did. And I was like, it's not a big deal. I guess I'm like happily married, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I find my husband's hot, like I'm good. You know, like, I just don't like think about like that stuff so intensely. Like you know what I mean? And I got married so young, like right after high school. So I feel like that was all just like whoosh, right? Really, you know?
So Cabo, that was not the best experience for you.
No, it was not.
Did you manage to have any fun on that trip, or was it just kind of a wash for you? And when you ended up going, were you genuinely afraid Alex was going to hit you?
100%.
Oh God.
And I'm sorry, Alex, because her and I like get along great. We text like weekly.
Yeah. We're
like planning a trip together. Like we have like I love her. But at the time, 100% for sure. And I did have fun. I did for sure. Probably not as much fun as I would have had normally if I wasn't hiding.
Yeah.
That one was real. That was something I do remember. I'm like, okay, you know, that was.
Yeah, I mean, we were all afraid of Alex. She was very intimidating. So I don't blame you at all.
Which is so funny because you talk to her now and she's like,
she's so sweet.
I mean, I'm sure she was then too, you know, but like she's just so nice. And I don't know, like we relate on so many things, you know what I mean? And so I'm like, oh, I'm sorry that you got that, like, you're so scary kind of persona about you, you know?
Well, and she said, we spoke to her and she said she felt awful about that too. Like that she would never do that now and would never want that to happen, you know, even to other people.
Oh,
so,
no, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, and you're just young and you're dumb and your emotions get the better. I mean, your frontal lobe's not developed yet, Like
Yeah.
things just happen. They take over. That's what I keep saying. I'm like, I have a middle school boy. I'm like, they're just dumb. Like they're just dumb.
I always love you in that scene because I am non-confrontational like that too. Like I can fight on the internet, but I cannot. I am like
Yep.
terrified of getting hit or like I cannot fight. Like I'm not that person.
No.
So like when you're like just saying whatever she wants you to say, I'm like, me too. Like that's what I would just be like, get out of my face. Like I can't do this.
Well, and like normally where I own whatever happened and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to pretend everything was edited. That is one where I was like, totally fake, so fake. But I'm like that. I'm just like you where I'm like, okay, if I'm like frustrated, I can send like a text and like let someone know how I feel. But if we're face to face, like,
I can't do it. I'm like, please don't hit me.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like what you said. It takes me time to like form or like my thoughts or emotions, and like I can write it down. But like in the moment, when people are so good at like confronting or even standing up for themselves, I'm like,
Yes.
I don't know what
I
to
would say
say.
like I'm the best shower fighter because after the fact I'll be in the shower being like, oh, I could have said this. Like I can't do it in the moment.
Like with relationships and stuff, like I'm a good, like I like to battle it out in the moment, but like with friends and like that kind of confrontation, like I just call me on the phone and we can.
Well, and I like to like really think about it. I'm like, is this worth like creating an argument for? Like I don't like to argue for argument's sake. So I'm like, I'd like to sit on it for a little bit and be like, is this important enough to me that I need to get it off my chest? Like, is this gonna burrow where I'm gonna hold a grudge, or can I just let it go?
Right.
So, but again, adulthood versus being 15.
Yeah, definitely.
15 in Cabo. Oh, that sounds like
Did you film a lot of extra scenes for MTV? And did you know what those scenes would be used for? Because they're kind of interspliced in the whole season.
Yeah, I don't remember. I mean, we definitely filled some extras for like the intro and like walk-ups and things like that. I remember filming more like wild lights, like not with the camera, but behind the scenes, like saying something, and that I noticed gets spliced in a lot. And so that was kind of hard. You'd be like calling someone like, I didn't say that though. I swear, like I knew they were going to do something, because when you're reading the line, you're like, what is this going to be used for? But we didn't really know. Like we don't know what their vision is till after the fact, And so then they come in and they're trying to like fill in the blanks for certain stuff. So anyway, yeah, it was that I feel like I did that more than anything.
Yeah.
Just the voiceovers. And now, you can tell now too, like anytime you don't see someone's mouth moving, it's probably a voiceover,
Oh yeah, we notice that all the time now, which again, we did not notice that as teenagers. It's crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's so bizarre.
Yeah. Kind of on the same like topic is that in Cabo, there was a scene where you were like walking on the beach and you called Jason and left him a voicemail.
Oh yeah, they made me do that.
Okay, yeah, we were thinking, is that real? Or because we were like, why would she do that? Yeah,
that was not real. No. Yeah, I remember that. Wow, I was wearing some really ugly white skirt with polka dots or something. I totally, I think, no, maybe it was a white skirt with my bathing suit. Well, anyways, I totally remember that. No, and that was not real at all.
that's so funny.
I don't think I even had cell service in Cabo. That was back in the day before international layers were like a real thing,
During you and Jason's breakup, like near that time, he like said, my parents think you're a really bad influence on me.
Yeah.
Was that true?
I hope not, because I was the one who got him home safely.
Yeah. And we saw
So
that too in the limo.
I'm like, I heard that like get rehashed at one point, and I'm like, hey, I'm like, that's not nice. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I would hope not. Maybe, because in the time, like, you don't want to believe it's your kid, like, causing problems,
Yeah.
So, maybe, but I wouldn't view myself as that by any means. So
yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere. None of us believed it either.
yeah, I'm like, oh, okay.
We're like, we don't really think that narrative is accurate.
Yeah. Definitely not. I'm the one in bed at 9:00.
Yeah. Speaking of all of that, can you talk to us about a little bit about your winter formal experience and how much of it was manufactured for the show, how much of it was real? That limo scene was kind of intense.
Yeah, again, I feel like it's such a cop out when I'm like, I don't remember. I really don't. I don't remember it being bad at all. I had so much fun. I had a great time. I went with all of my friends and we danced and had pre-parties and had super fun. Like
Yeah.
that's what I remember from it. So
Okay.
I have great pictures. I have good memories. That limo scene, I really don't remember, probably for more reason than one. But I and like I said, it's like I haven't watched it since, so I can't watch it and like, or I can. I haven't watched it as an adult where I could be like, oh yeah, that happened, or digest it
Yeah.
this way or that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which I
Mhm.
probably should before I do something like this again. But
Oh, yeah.
just was like, so at the time, I don't remember that. Like when I was in pajamas in there, I'm like, where did I bring pajamas from?
I
You know what
wondered
I mean?
that
Like,
too.
that is the only thing. Like when I've seen a clip here or there, I'm like, why do I have pajamas on? Like
Yeah.
that's all. Probably because I wanted to go to bed by now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like 3 in the
But,
morning, and
yeah.
I'm like, Jessica, it's past your bedtime.
Exactly. Go home. Yeah. So I wish I had more insight to say on that. I just really don't even remember
Mhm.
it.
Well, I'm
at
glad you
all.
said
I
you
don't
had
even
a good
remember.
time because MTV would have us believe that you were miserable every second
No,
of that
yeah.
dance.
I know. I feel it. That's why I'm saying they really wanted me to look like I was just this like longing, miserable person. I'm like, I actually had a great time. I had like a great high school experience. So, whatever.
I think that was the last of
Yeah.
the burning
Yeah,
That's our
thank
questions
you.
we
That was
had.
the
burning.
end of our
Oh,
burning
great.
Yeah.
That was
questions.
such a sad way to end it. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't remember.
No,
Sorry.
no.
No.
You answered them all, which is very exciting. Only a slight pass, so we're very excited about that.
Yeah.
We'll blame my children for that.
Yeah.
Well, as we near the end of our interview, is there anything you wanted to promote, or do you want to ask people to follow you in any of your socials?
Sure. I mean, I'm on Instagram, pretty active on there for the most part. It's at Jess R Evans, EVANS. But that's it. I mean, I'm not really doing anything. Doesn't that sound terrible? I'm doing a lot.
You're
but
raising
not,
all your
I know, I'm like,
babies.
you're doing a lot.
Yeah.
You're doing
I'm
a
trying
lot.
to promote myself in any way
Yeah.
right now at the moment. So I was
Yeah.
just excited to talk to y'all, and Alex was like, "They're so sweet." So I was like, "Oh my
Aw.
gosh, I'm sorry. I'm the worst at the like checking that kind of stuff, you know."
I'm just so happy that Alex was able to like ping you guys because
Yeah.
this has been
Yes.
such a great experience with all of you.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad.
So, what reality shows, if any, are you watching right now?
So I'm watching Vanderpump Rules. I just started the first
Mhm.
episode, so I haven't gotten caught
Of
up
season
on that
one?
yet. The recent one.
Oh,
11.
okay,
So
okay,
I
okay.
love
Yeah.
Vanderpump Rules. I watched it all. I took like a hiatus from like before Scandival happened, and then just for a couple seasons, and then I was like back on it.
Yeah.
I used to watch all the Housewives and stuff, but that it just got too much for me. Like too manufactured, and I really am like my oldest now is 13 and he's sports and everything, so I just don't have a lot of time at night to watch TV. So
Yeah.
really that's it. I think Vanderpump Rules is it right now. I'm not a big Bachelor fan.
Mhm.
I watched it with my sister when she was like living in town. But that I don't know. Is there any you recommend?
I'm on the Housewives train and Vanderpump
Yeah.
as well, and Traders. If you have heard of that show,
Okay.
they
I've
like
heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
it's really good this season. They bring in a bunch of like reality TV stars from different franchises. So like Big Brother, Survivor, they have Housewives in there too,
Cool.
and it's
Yeah.
kind of like mafia, like that they play in the house. So it's like there's killers in the house, and they have to like kill all of the peasants or
Okay.
faithfuls. Yeah,
Oh
it's
my gosh,
really
I love it.
exciting.
That is fun.
Yeah,
I love that.
I watch all the trash, like Teen Mom, Sister Wives, Dance
Oh,
Moms,
yes,
like all that
yes,
good stuff.
yes.
I love that kind of drama stuff. So
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it.
90 Day Fiance. That's
Yes.
what we're watching right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Someone else was telling me, I'm like, you've got to watch that. I was like, all right, I'll get into that
It
one
is.
next.
It's
really
good.
good.
It's
It's-
good.
I like to watch like all the like food challenge ones.
Oh,
Mhm,
yeah.
I like
those
those
are
Then I feel
too.
like if a kid walks in the background, it's not like
That's
anything
fair.
fun,
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
you know
true.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, my husband thinks it's so boring. But
Well, I love like Kitchen Nightmares and stuff, and
Yes,
yeah.
like anything with
I don't
Gordon
know.
Ramsay. So
I love
Mhm.
it. The idiot sandwich is like my favorite meme.
Yeah.
Of friends, you know? So funny. Oh man, I
So
love it.
last question. Since we are millennial TV, we always end off with this last question. What is one thing from the 90s or 2000s that you miss? It could be fashion, music, pop culture.
I definitely miss the music. I do miss the pop culture. I feel like there was a culture
Yeah,
of the
Mhm.
2000s that we just don't
have
see so much.
anymore.
I mean, maybe
Yeah.
I'm just out of touch, but
No, you're
I feel
right.
like anything goes right now versus it was like such a like
There was
niche
a
Niche.
look.
little
Yeah.
thing.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I just miss that. Like
Yeah.
even now I'm like, well, 2000, like 2002 was what? 10 years ago, right? Like it was
Yeah.
that,
Yeah. It's
And
Oh, it was
crazy.
so long ago. It's crazy.
ugh, I know, makes me sad. It was good times.
Well,
Innocent, I
yes.
miss that too.
Yeah.
Like not the ability to just be like watching everyone do everything all the time. Like there was a
Mhm.
little bit of just get out there and have fun and get to know people one on one versus just on the phone and everything else,
And you could actually
So
Yeah.
be unavailable. Like now,
yeah, right.
there's
Yes.
always a way to contact you. Like you can't be
Mhm.
like, you can't be away. Like people
No,
always have some version to contact
Yeah.
you.
I have literally like 17 missed calls right now from like an insurance agent, like 'cause I'm
Yeah.
trying to get new house insurance.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, if I didn't answer the first 3 times, why are you still calling me? Like,
Yeah.
I can't talk to you
Yeah.
right now. You know what I mean? Like, people are not used to that. They're like, no, if I call, you have to pick up the phone, So
Yeah.
annoying. But,
Well, thank
but
you
yeah, that's
so
probably it.
very much for answering all of our questions and
Yeah,
hanging out with
thank you.
us.
It was
Yes,
so
thank
It
nice
was
to
you.
meet
so
you.
nice to meet
Yes.
you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want you to know my high school self is like freaking out that she met Jessica. So
Well,
that's
I appreciate that. Thank you.